Pope Francis has written a letter addressed to every person on this planet, urging us all to protect the Earth, our common home. Contaminated the Earth's waters, its land, and its air. Our increasing use of polluting fossil fuels, especially coal, oil, and gas, is helping to drive climate change, which is one of the biggest challenges we face today. Climate change affects us all, but it is the poorest communities who suffer the most. We are now at crisis point, where the future of our common home is under threat. And despite this crisis, there seems to be no slowdown in the lifestyles of the rich nations. Enormous gaps between the rich and the poor continue to rise. Between those who are trapped in poverty with few or no resources, and those who are consuming and wasting at an ever-increasing rate, leaving a trail of waste and destruction. Let's undergo an eco-conversion in which we listen to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. This means taking seriously things like avoiding the use of plastic and paper, reducing water waste, separating rubbish, and using public transport as a part of our calling to protect creation. But more urgently, we need to slow down on how much we consume and throw away. We can find great joy and freedom in living simply, rather than always on the lookout for what we do not have. We are capable of these changes and making a new start. So let us make that start today. Signed, Pope Francis.
Very important. I don't think there is any other way to put about it. If we are concerned about our salvation as human beings and we are concerned about the future of our children, then Pope Francis' call to take care of the common home is next to the call to take care of our own very survival in this world and for the generations to come. The question of doing more may lead us to think of projects, may lead us to think of quantity. But I think we need to begin with a certain sense of quality, a certain sense of depth. The Latin word for more is magis. So it's not a question of so much doing more and covering more spaces and broadening it, but going deep. Deep because at the end of the day, care for the ecology, care for our common home involves conversion. And the conversion is a very personal one. And so if we say that I have done my part, then that's where I think we've failed, because we can never do enough of our part to save the world. Granted that we are not the savior of the world, but we can always do more because there is always so much more that can be done. Just looking at the situation of the ecological crisis that's going on in this world that's now tied to climate crisis. So why is simply that we are called and we are obligated to do that because we are stewards of the earth. And we have to hand the earth to our children and to their children's children. So it's never a question of why we need to do more. We just need to. But how? That depends on our situation, that depends on where we find ourselves. No one can ever say that they have no responsibility in this area. That's where we begin. As one individual, this is where one person say, if it is not me, who else? And that's the tagline I want all of us to remember. Because it is individual responsibility, it is communal responsibility, it is a responsibility of the entire church, it is actually every human person's responsibility. So when we say that if no one else is doing it, then I must be the one to do it. And I cannot pass the buck on. The buck stops with me, which means to say in a very practical way, when you walk on the street, you see a stray bottle that has been thrown on the floor, pick it up. You see a flying one single-use plastic bag lying in one corner on the road, pick it up and dispose it where it is supposed to go, whether in the trash bin or in the recycling bin. These little efforts may seem like nothing in a world of millions and millions of humanity, but that one plastic and that one bottle is going to make one difference in the world. And so that is why we need to have that sense of communal responsibility and the sense of a personal conviction that I can do it. And if I can do it, then I can influence my children to do it, I can influence my friends to do it. And even if they don't, seeing what I do will be the first step towards helping them to think and reflect. Why is he doing that? Why is she taking responsibility? And should I not be taking responsibility as well?